Let me start with you, Bulama, in far away London there. I mean, when you hear these kidnappings or the resurgence of the terrorists and the mayhem they continue to unleash on Nigeria, what are your thoughts and that of the international community, particularly when, you underscore it with the U.S. president's threat to descend heavily on terrorists in Nigeria and not Nigeria as a country?
You see, it's very, very sad to see the next this spate of attack in our country. Unfortunately, over the past 7 days, there have been about 12 attacks in which over 400 people have been abducted in about 8 states and around 20 people have been killed. And it's very, very sad. When we say this is a resurgence, in my mind, it's not actually a resurgence. It is just around this period that every time we see an increase in attacks, especially for the terrorists and criminal gangs operating in the Northwest and the Northeast, the rainy season is always difficult for them to operate, especially the rainy season in the North, which takes 5 months, and it is now over. And the jungles therefore have cleared and the access roads for them have started opening again, and therefore they start relaunching these kinds of attacks. And the sheer scale of attack, one in the Northeast in which a military general was killed, General Musa Uba, another in the Northwest where 25 students were abducted, and also an attack in Zamfara in the Northwest where about 79 women were abducted in Maru and Safi local government areas of Zamfara state. And then you have another around 600 kilometers from there, the community in Kwara, where a church was attacked, 2 people or 3 were killed, and about 35 or 30 people abducted. And then you have this one in Niger State. Now, this tells you that Nigeria is no longer dealing with a single security threat or insurgency as we saw 10 years ago. What we are dealing with right now are multiple distinct actors who are always splitting or splintering and rebranding, and therefore becoming a bigger threat. And that is what happens if you allow insecurity to fester for a long time in the country. Every time there was a ransom paid, that gives them more money to stock more weapons and equipment. Every attack they launch gives them more experience. And every time the government did not act in the way it should act, groups will splinter. One commander will form his own and another will form their own. And you will see the kind of cross-state operations we are seeing currently in different parts of Nigeria. President Trump's, like you said, President Trump's threat was to launch attack in Nigeria on the terrorist groups. But what is worrying about his threat was that he wanted to do it unilaterally. And if he did that unilaterally, that will be counterproductive. You have to work with the Nigerian government if you want to help Nigeria. And President Trump's continued claim of a Christian genocide ignores the suffering of the Muslim community. And I think it is a gross misrepresentation of actually what is happening in Nigeria. Christians are being attacked, they are being killed, and it is sad. But Muslims are equally attacked, or even so far more. And that is also not acceptable. And I think if the United States wants to help Nigeria, it should understand that these terrorists, their war is against Nigeria, not a specific faith. And the only way forward is to unite Nigerians, Muslims and Christians, Southerners and Northerners, and so that we can face our common enemy, the terrorists and criminal gangs wreaking havoc in our country.
All right. Thank you very much, Bulama. You've raised some very critical points. There are issues noteworthy.